Ingram, and I'm applying to the teacher education program at UCLA. If we're identifying all of the participants that will participate in the community meeting, I think we should first and foremost have parents come in because parents are the closest to the children in that they're always around them. So parents should be invited to this meeting, community leaders, school board members, neighborhood association leaders, directors of after school program or extracurricular activities that the kids engage in after school is over. I think this is really important because, yes, school, yes, we were talking about teachers, we're talking about staff. The students are in these classrooms for their day, but once they get out of class, what they engage in afterwards is just as important as what happens inside of the classroom. The importance or the belief about the purposes of schooling, especially in urban communities, is that it's everything. For a lot of these children, they're not given the proper resources, they're not given what the tools that other communities have. Communities are well off financially to be able to pursue and to have just the benefits of a better of a community that has more money. So with that said, there's lack of programming, there's lack of resources, and the purposes of schooling, especially in the urban community, is to promote this confidence and to promote education so that these children can grow up and do whatever it is that they want to do, and given that option and given saying, hey, like, there's more to it than whatever you see out of your window when you go home to your neighborhoods. Like, there's an education for you, and I think the purposes of schooling is to help our kids better in help them improve their literacy skills, to help them improve in their math skills and their science skills and history. And it's more than preparing them to take a test, but it's preparing them for life. And that is what is truly, truly important as educators, and especially as social justice educators. It's a little more than just, I'm going to stand in front of a classroom and teach you what 2 plus 2 equals. It is, I'm going to stand in front of this classroom and teach you what 2 plus 2 equals in order to help you in whatever field you want to explore, so that you know math when you're in the grocery store, or however you use math on a day-to-day basis. This is more than we're going to prepare you for an exam, or we're preparing you for life, and especially in urban communities where that may not be instilled because they're surrounded by everything that speaks the opposite. Like, no, you need to do this to take a test. No, you need to just live or get your degree or graduate high school, and then you need to do this. And it's maybe it doesn't speak to the child's dreams, but I believe that speaking to the child's dreams, they can be more than the corner store deli man, or just something that's very confined in that way. Indicating how the school will address urban schooling issues. I think I touched on it before, but I myself, I grew up in the Bronx, New York, and I was a student in an urban school. I would have to deal with metal detectors and police officers at my school, and fighting and all of these issues, and not having adequate textbooks, and just not having enough resources. Like, maybe some nice private schools, some public schools in suburban areas may have that, and we were lacking all of these things. But if we're planning to create or to reopen this neighborhood school in an urban setting, we need to address these things. How are we going to address issues like going through a metal detector every day? What are the implications? What are the results of a child having to go through a metal detector? Like, what are the psychological, things that we're saying and we're doing by imposing metal detectors. And that's just one example. But as long as we can identify these issues and see that because of race, because of financial, um, financial situations, cultures, just the diversity, we need to address that there is diversity and that we may not have the adequate resources. So how can we get those resources? How can we obtain, more money so that we can have better programs for our students? That is what's truly important in trying to address issues in urban school settings, because it's much more specific. We're dealing with a lot more issues than we would if we were in a suburban school. My role as a social justice educator is to, one, inform. A lot of this information most parents don't know. I mean, you have parents who care less about going to a parent-teachers conference, who are more preoccupied with other things. So as a social justice educator, we must not only, the child is our main concern, their education is our main concern, but okay, the child is connected to the parents, the child is connected to their community. How are we as educators going to speak to all of these areas so that we can make this better for the community? We can make this better for the child, for the school, for everyone. And as a social justice educator, that is our mission, to see positive change and to see, yes, our kids graduate, but to go on and do better and greater things. And just seeing that joy is what makes this job so awesome, right? It just makes it so fun. And so with that, I'm incredibly thrilled to be even applying to this program. My concentration at NYU right now is social justice education through performance poetry. So I have a strong background in performance poetry and spoken word, and using this art medium as a way to speak about social justice issues, to educate and to hopefully see and make some change. But I think it's also important to say, if I work outside of the classroom, let's get into the classroom. Let's get into the community more. And how can we talk about these things? How do we talk about the school to prison pipeline and see that and speak to these issues, and how can we change them? It's not enough to sit here and talk, but how can we now change, and how can we see better in this education system that just seems to just not be one of the greatest things? How can we be better? How can we do better for the generations that are ahead and that are coming up and that are ready? How do we keep feeding that desire to learn? How we place that desire to learn for kids who may see like it's pointless? And so that's our job. Working in the schools, working in the communities, working with the parents, educating, showing and speaking about what the issues are and trying to come up with a solution where we're all working together. The teacher is just as important as the parent, as the community leader, because we're all working for the better good of the generation of the kids in our classroom. So I'm excited to be applying to this program. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to be challenged, and I really hope that you accept me into the program. Again, my name is Tonya Ingram, and I thank you so much for this opportunity. Have a great day.